Hello to the world and welcome! It's obvious I haven't had enough drama or vitriol in my life, so today I decided to make a tier list of every single Civilization game that has ever existed. Well, maybe not called a Power or Civ Rome. One of those was meant to be an expansion for Civilization 1, and the other one is better off memory hold and simply isn't counted as a Civilization game, even if it has Civ in the title. I would consider it more of a Caesar game. Every other game, however, is on the docket. Now, you may not know this, but I'm actually a very, very old head. I'm so old that I actually received Civilization 1 for my birthday on the same year it was released. Back then, games weren't exactly updated often, so that was pretty much version 1.0. I don't think I remember using any patches or many at all on MS-DOS back in the day. That means I have the unique perspective of having been there on the release day for each and every single Civilization game that has come out since the beginning. So I decided to make a tier list on them. However, it won't just be on the games themselves. Yes, it will be on how they play, how they look, and how they feel. However, the most important thing about this tier list will have everything to do with how it was released. It's version 1.0 all the way up to version 1.1 patches. Obviously, my favorite games are going to do better. They are my favorite games for a reason. However, you will find that I'll be rather cruel to one of my personal favorite games, if only because its launch was such a disaster that it'll lose major points even if I personally love it now, after 2 expansion packs. So now, here is the tier list. S tier obviously means day 1 masterpiece, and F tier means that it was such a broken mess on release that it deserves to be remembered for all time for its infamy. And here are the icons that I'll be using for all 12 games. Civilization 1 all the way up to Civilization 7, including the Civilization Revolution games, Civilization Beyond Earth, Civilization 4 Colonization, and Alpha Centauri. Now, enough stalling. Let's get into it! Here it is, everybody! Civilization 1! The OG! The original game! Gameplay-wise, this game was God tier when it came out. There was nothing even remotely close to it at the time, and despite the primitive graphics, it captured everybody's imaginations. There is a reason why the series survived as long as it did. This granddaddy was so good, its children are still going strong today. Its children's children are still going strong today. However, the difficulty on this game is off the charts. The AI gets so many bonuses that playing higher difficulties is an exercise in masochism. More importantly, I don't think they ever did really fix the settler improvement bug. I don't think they fixed the settler can build roads and railroads on the ocean bug, and they never ever fixed pollution. Oh my gosh, on release day, they also had major issues with stack overflow and memory corruption. And this game crashed like nobody's business, especially on MS-DOS 5, which is what I think I had at the time. Yeah, this game had a lot of issues on start, and despite the fact that it's the OG and we love it so dearly, it wasn't as good as a release as I would hope, at least as what I remember. You would probably assume that'd be an S tier simply because it's the best, well, the OG anyways, but no, it was a crashing nightmare at times, and I mean nightmare. But because it was such a good game and it created the series, I'm going to give it a B tier. It was, in fact, a decent release. There's no real complaints about it other than the fact that it crashed a lot. It wasn't super game-breaking. I think I've only had a save corruption happen once. I know other people have complained about it, specific on fanatics, but it clearly wasn't common enough that it ruined my experience. So I'm personally going to give it B tier. Here it is, Civilization 2. Yeah, I love this game. I still play it even today. This is one of those games that I go back to whenever I want to play a game that I used to love so dearly. I love the advisors so much. They had so much personality. I miss the fact that they don't do those kinds of actors anymore where I don't get to see Elvis or the Socrates sarcastic goth girl. That was so good. It's so good. How is it that a game that old has so much more personality than the modern releases? It's ridiculous how they haven't brought that back yet. What are you doing, Firaxis? Get off your butt. Do something. Make your games more personable. Make them more enjoyable for everybody. But beyond that, this game is widely regarded as probably the best in the series by a very sizable margin. Usually it's a fight between Civilization 2, Civilization 3, and Civilization 4. I guess now Civilization 6 and Civilization 5 are in the comments, but most people usually ignore the Civilization 6 people. I'm sorry, guys. Civilization 6 doesn't belong in the top tier. No, it doesn't. As for Civilization 2, though, there are some issues with it. I wouldn't really call them super duper game breaking bugs. Well, there is one, but mostly my issue with Civilization 2 was the partisans. They can be a massive pain, especially when you're doing like a world conquest run. They became super frustrating, super duper fast. They made conquest so slow, so painful. At the same time, though, if you're getting attacked, partisans were great to have because, they made it so annoying for the guys who were trying to take you out. And it was a blessing and a nightmare, but it depended on which side of the beatdown you were on. Regarding pollution, on the other hand, oh my god, pollution was the worst mechanic in the world. Oh god, There's a reason why I'm about to give Civilization 2 this next ranking, and you're gonna hate my guts for it, especially if you're a Civ 2 fanatic, and they do exist out there, believe me. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but for pollution and pollution alone. This is the only reason that it's getting this rank. Pollution. It's an amazing release, but it's not a masterpiece. I'm sorry. I love this game dearly. I really love this game dearly. I can't call it a masterpiece. I can't. Pollution has crashed games, is killed save files for me. When you get to a point where pollution gets so bad, it can actually corrupt a save file. At least back in the day it could. I think at the time I was using Windows 95 for it. Yeah, it was a nightmare back then, and I remember getting very frustrated. Nowadays, it's not as bad. Obviously, with the third-party patches, Civilization 2 deserves to be S tier, but we're not doing current. We're doing release day, and on release day, Civilization 2 had game-breaking bugs, so it doesn't deserve a masterpiece rank. I'm sorry.
After the ship breaks apart, the 7 leaders guide their chosen crew down to the surface of planet, seeking their destiny beneath an alien sky.
Now, Alpha Centauri. Woo-wee! When I got this game, I thought it would suck. I'm not kidding. I took one look at it when I got it for my birthday, and I thought to myself, what the hell is this garbage? Why does it have Sid Meier's name on it? And then I actually started it, and the intros, the character intros were just so personable. I fell in love with a lot of the characters. I remember the UN CEO guy. The UN guy and the CEO guy, Morgan, and I think Proval. I still play those guys constantly today, and the game is so replayable simply because of how unbelievably difficult the original AI aliens are. It did get easier over in the later patches, but on release day patch, I remembered those aliens kicking my butt more than the enemy AIs did. It was crazy how if you didn't get like that, I think it was called the mind control technology that allowed you to face off against the mind worms. Yeah, you were toast. They would swarm you. You would eventually lose. It was super duper hard, and that's why I love this game so much. I love the more difficult civs, if you couldn't tell. I could not consistently beat this game on the hardest difficulty. I still can't. Even with all the patches, this game is really, really, really difficult. It's surprising how difficult it is. The AI is a challenge. As for game-breaking bugs, well, there really weren't any. As far as I can remember, I don't remember having any major crash issues with Alpha Centauri. I think when I got it, I was using Windows 98, and this is before I got Windows XP. I do remember it crashing a little bit on Windows XP, but it wasn't super duper bad. But for Windows 98, it ran perfectly. I don't have any complaints about this game. I love the replayability. I love the tech, the random tech. And same, the same deal as Stellaris. It prevents that sense of min-maxing from making every game play out the same. That's a problem that pretty much every Civilization has, and Alpha Centauri prevents that completely. This game deserves S tier. It is one of the best games in the series. A lot of people don't even consider it part of the series, but I definitely do. It has Sid Meier's name in the title. Obviously, I probably should count Civ Rome for that reason, but I hate Civ Rome, and I'm not going to give it the prestige of being counted as a Civilization game. So, there. Alpha Centauri deserves S tier. Oh boy, this one is going to go on for a while. And the reason why is because this is the one that's going to get me the most hate. I'm going to start off with a story when it comes to Civilization 3. Okay, so I got this game day one. Day one. I actually waited outside of GameStop to buy it. This is back when GameStop, well, I guess it was called Electronics Boutique back then. And back then, they used to sell PC games day one. That was great. So back in 2001, after the whole hubbub of the Twin Towers falling and everybody's done grieving, and Windows XP just came out literally 5 days before, and I got that day one too. So I had my GeForce 2 out. I had my lovely new monitors. I had my lovely new PC set up. I'm ready to go. I got the Civilization 3. I take it home, and it doesn't work. It didn't work at all. For Windows XP users, it turns out they weren't planning ahead, and Windows XP users, of which that was probably the fastest selling operating system in Windows history, all the way up until Windows 7 came out. And yeah, it didn't work. Especially if you were unfortunately stupid enough, like me, to get the brand new GeForce 2. And, whew, okay, so when you started up the game, you got the intro, and then black screen. And it went on like that for 7 days. And, they released a patch, but you had to download it off of civ3.com, and that was a slow-ass website, and the patch was like 100 megabytes at the time, so it took forever. This is back in 2001, by the way, so remember, it's not the same internet speed you're probably used to nowadays. 100 megabytes was a big flipping deal back then. Unfortunately, it still didn't work because we didn't know at the time that Civilization 3 had issues with OpenGL. It had issues with the refresh rate of the newer monitors that came out at the time. These were like the fat CRT monitors still, and the refresh rate really did matter back then. There's a big problem, and we didn't know how to fix it until I don't know who it was who came up with the fix, but you saved everybody's game because I couldn't play this stupid game for 14 flipping days until some random person on Civ Fanatics stated, you need to change the refresh rate in the ini file, and you need to remove OpenGL. I think that's what it was. You had to remove access to OpenGL for the game for it to run. It worked. Yay! Finally! Woohoo! I got to play Civilization 3 after 14 days of waiting. What a fucking travesty. This game was a fucking travesty. I don't care what anybody says nowadays. You can love it all you want. This game was a fucking travesty. Day one. Okay. Yes. It was finally fixed up by December 2001. But even after the fix-up, you still had the crashes by pressing F3. You had corruption that still failed to work properly even after the December patch. Remember, Forbidden Palace and Secret Police Headquarters increased corruption probably all the way up until mid-2002 patch. I think it was like 1.29F at that point. They had to release so many goddamn patches for this stupid game that we didn't even see half of them come out. It was... I hate this game. I really do. I hate this game even today because after all of the trouble that I went through, it was so bad. It was a boring game. It was like playing a flippin' spreadsheet. The city sprawl was so ungodly horrible. It was washed out. It was beige. It was sepia toned. Everything was just ugly. This is the ugliest, and I mean ugliest, Civilization game in the series. I hate this game. I don't understand how people can play this atrocity even today. I guess they're the same people who inexplicably play Final Fantasy VIII and think, yeah, this plot makes sense. And if you're one of those people who play this game religiously even today, well, we're not friends, I guess, and I fart in your general direction. F tier. This game gets F tier. F, 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 F. This gets the mecha F tier. I consider this the worst game in the series. Worse than Civilization Revolution 2, and worse than Beyond Earth. That's what you get. This game was horrible on release. I couldn't play it for 14 days. And what I got after playing it was garbage. Hate this game. Back then, after Civilization 3, I was about ready to write off the series completely. I was no longer frequenting Civ Fanatics. I even deleted my username at the time. I was ready to quit. Like, I was done. When Civilization 4 came out, I was originally a hater, mostly because I didn't play the game, and I was just pissed off because of how bad Civilization 3 was, and I was taking it out on Civilization 4, and that was unfair. Why? Because when I finally did give in and buy it, probably a week after it came out, specifically because some of the people that I really respected on Civ Fanatics stated that, hey, this game's actually pretty good. It's really difficult, too. Yeah, and, they're not wrong. This game was fun. Addicting, and most importantly for me, hard. This game, even today, I still can't routinely beat on deity. I would say I got a 50-50 chance of beating a game on deity. I played this game to hell and back. I probably put at least 6,000 or 7,000 hours on this game back in the day, at least based off of my old Xfire account. Since then, it's probably in the 12,000 range at this point. I still play this game religiously, especially Rise and Fall, especially Fall from Heaven 2, which are considered, in my books, the best mods ever made, right alongside Defense of the Ancients and DayZ. This game was a masterpiece on release, and I still love it today. I loved it. This saved my affinity for Civilization. If it wasn't for this game, I would probably never be playing any other Civilization games again. I would probably be a hater, and I would just look at every release as, oh, this is trash. They sucked ever since this. I think, I think Civilization 3 was the very first Firaxis version of Civilization, and it shows, because that game was so bad, and this one was clearly the vision of Soren Johnson, who's become probably my favorite game developer out there. I love Old World, for instance, and I love Civilization 4. Endgame optimization was a little bit of an iffy issue, but as far as I know, there was no game-breaking bugs. Most of the bugs that I've ever had to deal with, even on day one, were like graphics glitches, where the leaders would be black rectangles, or sometimes the Wonders or Religion movies wouldn't fire off. But beyond that, this game was You're not going to like this game if you hate Doom stacks, though, but at the same time, it got rid of the city sprawl issue with the implementation of happiness. It got rid of a lot of other issues that I really hated about Civilization 3, particularly the washed-out sepia tone. This game was colorful. This game was bright, vibrant. It had lush greens. It had lush blues. Everything was just gorgeous about this game when it came out. I still consider it gorgeous even today. And the mods of Fall from Heaven 2 were only possible because this game was done like through Python as like its front end and back end. And oh god, I wish I could go back to the time I played this game day one again. The experience, being as wrong as I was about this game, was such a surprise that it turned me into a Civilization fanboy again. This game was perfection. It deserves S tier. It deserves SS tier. It deserves Quadra S tier, quintuple S tier. if I would give it its own category above S tier, and instead of Day One Masterpiece, it just says Civilization 4 Godlike. That's how good this game was on release. This saved my love for the series. I love this game. Alright, I'm going to have to preface this with the honest reminder that I did not get this game on release. I think I got it sometime like 3 or 4 months after it was released. Mostly because I didn't even know it came out. I don't think they had any advertisement or fanfare on this. I don't even remember people talking about it on Civ Fanatics until way after it came out. And that's when I got it. So I think by the time I got it, it was like patch 1.1. So forgive me if I missed some things. Forgive me if I give it a better tier than what it actually deserves as a result of that. But here we go. This game was fun. I mean, it was based on Civilization 4. Of course, I love the mechanics. The pathfinding was a little goofy on it, especially with the AI. But beyond that, I did enjoy the heck out of this game. I like the great general things going on with it. I like the economics involved in creating your little colonial empire. Remember, I think this is around the time when Europa Universalis came out, and Europa Universalis was still kind of feeling things out. Whereas this game was pretty meshed out because it's effectively a remake of the original Colonization game, which isn't considered part of the mainline Civilization series, by the way. This one, however, is considered part of the mainline Civilization series, so that's why it's here on the list. Regarding its position, I think this was a really decent release. I really did. Obviously, I might be incorrect because I got it, I think, 4 months after it came out. And yeah, back then you did have patches for it. It was one of those games for Windows games, and it automatically updated through games for Windows on you. And yeah, you also had Xfire for it at the time, and you could update through Xfire. So yeah, this game was kept up to date for me, and I might not have played the original release version of it. I do remember indentured servants having issues of switching off into normal population, and it wouldn't always fire off, and when that happened, you were stuck with the indentured servant for the rest of the game. I remember loading and unloading cargo could be very, very finicky, and it could actually crash the game. I remember some bonuses for the Great Generals didn't always load up, and beyond that, though, there was nothing super duper game breaking about this game. It was a good game. It really was. It wasn't buggy. It was genuinely fun to play. The replayability isn't exactly immaculate. This is not a game that I play routinely. It was still a good game, at least based off of what I remember when I got it. Definitely worth the money, but nowadays it's low on the priority list when it comes to replaying. Oh, Civilization Revolution. Oh, I hated this game when it was first announced, mostly because I thought it would be extremely dumbed down. When I finally eventually bought it, probably 2 or 3 weeks after it came out, mostly because I found it a really good deal at GameStop. It was like $19.99 at GameStop within the first month. Beyond that, though, the game was not very fun. If I were to classify this as any type of Civilization game, I would classify this as baby's first Civilization game. This is the Apple of the this is the Macintosh of the Civilization world. This is designed to be as user-friendly and child-friendly as possible. We used to call this dumbed down for the console kiddies, while those of us in the PC Master Race could only look on in bewilderment and disgust. Well, how did it play? I mean, it was easy. You couldn't lose in this game. I don't think you could. I don't think I ever did. I don't think it was possible. And teching from era bonuses, there was issues with that. Sometimes it wouldn't give you the benefits of discovering first. Pushing B to end the turn, sometimes it never worked, even though all of your units are fortified. Then there was like the eternal battles. Oh, that sucked. Then you had to reset your stupid game and had to go through that stupid intro, which I don't remember being skippable up until like the the first month after it came out and they patched it. This game was, I don't even classify it as a Civilization game, to be honest, but it counts because Metacritic says it does, and it has Civilization in the name, so it exists. I know there's some people out there who stand by it, and it wasn't game broken. Like, it wasn't broken. It was a little unfun for me personally, but I could see how it could be fun for other people. So I'm not going to be cruel to it. I'm going to give it a C tier. I think it was a controversial release at best, and I guess it would be an unfun release at worst, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, if only because there are actually still people out there who like this game, and that stands as a testament to its longevity for people who probably wouldn't have gotten into the Civilization series without this game's existence. So I'm going to give it the C tier for that and that alone. Alright, I need to let you know ahead of time that I love this game now. I love Civilization 5. It's my favorite modern game of Civilization. I consider it better than 6 and 7. Now. I have to say now. Why now? Because Civilization 5 was an absolute dumpster fire on release, okay? Back then, multiplayer was a huge thing, specifically because of Civilization 4. Civilization 4 was such a great multiplayer game. We used to play hundreds of hours of Civilization 4 multiplayer. And then Civilization 5 comes out, and we all boot up the game, and desync. Fuck you, desync. Fuck you, desync. Fuck you so much. Fuck you to hell and back. Desync ruined my love for this game. I actually stopped playing it for 1 week into release until Gods and Kings came out. Actually, no, it wasn't a week. It was 3, 4, no, it might have been 7 or 8 months until Gods and Kings came out to fix this atrocious mess of a base game. This game sucked as a base game. It was fucking horrible. Horrible. The AI pathfinding didn't even exist back then. Diplomacy was a meaningless affair. I don't know how people actually tried to defend the diplomacy back in the original base game. There was no religion mechanics. Allies would declare war on you after signing an alliance day 2. Like, it was stupid. The endgame lag was so atrocious. It was far worse than anything the Victoria 3 and Stellaris could ever spit out. It was far worse than anything the Civilization 7 could ever spit out. And did I mention no religion on release? Religion was already an important base mechanic thanks to Civilization 4. And then there was the fact that this was by far the easier than Civilization Revolution, okay? Easiest Civilization game in the series on day 1. I slept walk games and won 100% of the time on deity without trying. Okay? It was... You couldn't lose. If you managed to lose a game on this, how? Like, you would have to... I think it would be harder to lose than it was not to lose, because you got so much money in the end game that you could literally just buy your way to world conquest. Even if you got like Catherine trying to rush a science victory over your butt. But again, I have to say, after the expansions, I have to admit, Gods and Kings was an amazing expansion, and then there was Brave New World. I think Brave New World is the best expansion pack, on par with Civ 4's Beyond the Sword, okay? This expansion pack turned Civilization 5 from dumpster fire bottom tier, belongs with Civilization 3, to... I'm sorry, this was a buggy, unfun mess on release. Nowadays, though, if I weren't to judge based on the release date and only the release, this game would be S tier for me. I love Civilization 5. Now, I replay this game more than any other modern Civilization game. Why? Because it's challenging now. They fixed the gold error, like the gold overflow problem, where you would get like thousands upon thousands of gold at like every turn at the end of the game, and you could just buy your way to victory. I mean, it's actually kind of challenging now. The AI, especially like Catherine and her science bullshit, is really, really challenging now. I would say 70% win every deity game now. It's not 100%. Hey, that's a good thing. Because, yeah, future releases, it's 100%. I don't care what anybody says. Civilization 6 is easy as balls. Even now, it's easy as balls. I don't know how anybody could lose in that game. But, again, I have to state, Civilization 5 was a dumpster fire with bugs and poor optimization. So it deserves its D tier. I'm sorry. I have to remind you, though, I love this game. Please don't hate me. I love this game now. I really love Brave New World. I really do. Oh, okay. I didn't know which one to put first, either Civilization Revolutions 2 or Civilization Beyond Earth. But I decided to put Civilization Beyond Earth on here, and the reason why is because after glazing Civilization 5 so much at the end there, I wanted to showcase a little bit of hate. Holy mother of God, this game sucks! I'm not docking this game based on any game-breaking bugs. I'm just stating outright this game isn't fun. At all. The design is so bad in this game. I'd rather play Civilization Revolution 2. That's how bad the design is in this game. Anybody complaining about Civilization 7's design has not played this game. This game is garbage. Garbage, garbage, garbage. There's just something about this game that feels clunky, unwieldy, and broken design-wise. Teching is pointless. Trading is mindlessly overpowered to the point where nothing else matters except city spam and trading. Honestly, it feels like a less fun version of Civilization 3. And that's probably why I hate this so much, because it reminds me so much of Civilization 3. Anything that reminds me of that atrocity makes me hate it. It gets to a point where you don't even look at the text anymore, and you just beeline for the ones that get you closer to victory so you can stop playing this stupid flipping game. I hate this game. I hate it so much. I actually want to give it an F. I really do. But sadly, because of the way I got these tiers set up, it's not actually a broken game. It's not a broken release. It's functional. So, yeah, it gets the D tier. But in terms of fun, oh my boy, it is ungodly bad. Every other game, well, except for maybe Civ 3, at least gave me some joy. This one just brought me sadness. It's a sad release. It's been memory hold for a reason. And honestly, all you can say is, it's not so bad, even though, in truth, it's god-awful, and there's no redeeming factors, there's no redeeming qualities. This game was meant to be the second coming of Alpha Centauri, and it turned out to be the second coming of Civilization 3. Fuck this game. Yeah, this one's not going to take very long. What do you call a game that didn't work day one on 10% of the phones out there, including mine? Broken! It was like this on release, and it's even worse nowadays because it's not actively supported anymore. In fact, you can't even buy this stupid game on Google Play anymore because of how ungodly broken it is. And you know what? I actually got a different phone. Well, not because of this game, but because I broke the old phone. But the new phone actually did use this game. It was one of those Sony Ericsson phones with the little joystick handles on there. And yeah, it ran this game, and the game sucked. It wasn't even fun, to be honest. It was a very, 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 very dumbed-down version of Civilization Revolution, and the method of teching was just bloody weird. Everything about this game was horrible. It was monetized to hell. This game was horrible. And it was broken. And even when I did get it to work on my Sony Ericsson phone, this game constantly crashed. It didn't matter what you do, you were going to crash. I don't think I ever finished a game on this stupid, a full game. I don't think I ever beat this game. Like, that's how bad it was. I just couldn't play through the freaking crashing. I couldn't deal with it. And I'm not going to buy a top tier phone for a shit game like this. So, yeah, you're getting F tier. You deserve it. You belong there. This game sucks. If you manage to find it out in the wild somehow, give it a try. Try the APK. It's abandonware now, so I mean, you can't fault me for saying find the APK, but I mean, you're torturing yourself just to see how bad it really is. That's all there is to this game. That's all there is to it. It's just a torture method at this point. So if you're a masochist and you want to hurt a little bit, give it a shot. It really wasn't that hard. It was super duper. It was kind of like playing a really boring game of Civ where you're stuck on an island by yourself and all you do is click end turn, end turn, end turn, end turn. That's what this game felt like. And there's nothing more to say about it. It was bad.
And ourselves. A civilization.
Oh my, Civilization 6. Right now, this game is being glazed to hell and back right now. And let me preface this. I enjoy Civilization 6. I didn't play it, and I still don't play it as much as the other ones. But I don't hate this game by any measure. The reason why I don't play it as much as the other ones is by a wide margin this was, and to me personally, it still is the easiest Civilization game in the series. It's not as easy as Civilization 5 was on release because of the gold issue, but now that Civilization 5 is clearly a lot more difficult thanks to Brave New World, Civilization 6 now gets the title of being the easiest mainline one. I'm not counting Civ Rev and Civ Rev 2. I'm not counting Civ Beyond Earth where you just trade and wait until the game is over. I mean mainline Civilization games, you know, Civ 1, Civ 2, Civ 3, Civ 4, Civ 5, 6, Civ 7. This is the easiest one. I don't think I can lose on deity on this game. I sleepwalk it. I don't think it's possible to lose on deity in this game. I don't. Is it broken though? Was it broken on day one? No, I mean, no, it wasn't. As far as I can remember, there wasn't anything completely broken about the gameplay either, nor were there any mechanics that stood out one way or the other. I didn't particularly like the districts, and I still don't really like the district mechanics. I don't miss them, believe it or not. I kind of like the quarter mechanics in Civilization 7 more than the district mechanics. But this game is just genuinely inoffensive. It's worth playing. But, I mean, this is the game that you don't really want to play against the AI. The AI is bad. If you're going to play Civilization 6, play against other players. This game is really, 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 really good as a multiplayer game. I call this a great multiplayer game and a below average single player game. It'll probably stand the test of time as maybe the best multiplayer game in the Civilization series, because I don't think Civilization 7 is going to beat it. They got their work cut out for them to make Civilization 7 better as a multiplayer game than Civilization 6. But in terms of single player, I mean, it was a decent release. It was. I can't hate on it. There was nothing game breaking about it. The only reason it's getting such a low version, it's not up there with A tier with like Civilization 2, is just because I just didn't enjoy it as much as the other games. I just didn't. This game, it probably up until its first expansion just kind of languished in my Steam library, and even now it's kind of languishing in my Steam library. I just don't play it unless I'm playing a multiplayer game with other people, and no, I'm sorry. This game gets a B tier. It's a decent release. There's no hatred for this game. It's just not my favorite. That's all. That's all that means. Alright, here it comes. This is probably the one that everybody has been waiting for. Civilization 7. Honestly, I've probably put in 200 hours into this game already, and there's been nothing game-breaking that's come to mind yet. The gameplay is obviously a bit off. The UI is very janky. Some of the voice acting is really horrible, and some of it is exceptional. But I don't consider it particularly hard compared to like older titles. I consider Civ 4 to be the hardest one of the, I guess, semi-modern titles. Probably Civ 1 would actually be the hardest of them all. But Civ 5 Brave New World is actually kind of difficult. This one was relatively easy in comparison. Deity is a little difficult, I will admit, especially in the Antiquity Age. I have restarted before, but I don't think I've lost yet. Mostly because I only finished 2 games, and both of them were obvious victories, but probably by the time I got to the 3rd era. And, yeah, I mean, the game is good. It's good. It's good. But there are some things about it that I really, 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 really don't like. And the main thing is, obviously, the era mechanics. It really throws off that sense of what Civilization should be. You aren't playing a civilization in this game. You're playing a leader who cycles through civilizations, and that just feels wrong. I'm sorry. If you love this game, that's great. But for me, on that fact alone, I gotta give it a C tier. It's a controversial release. I think in the future, when they get some new expansions out, it'll probably get a heck of a lot better. Probably like Civ 5 did. Or, I guess Civ 6 didn't really get any better. It just kind of stayed languishing in my Steam library. But, I mean, Civilization has the opportunity to become better. But currently, in its current iteration, what the hell were they thinking, ripping off Humankind, Millennia, and Ara? Like, have you seen those games as Metacritics? Now, don't get me wrong, I like those games as standalone games, but they're not Civilization games. Don't rip off what doesn't work. I hated that aspect in those games, and you brought it to Civilization 7 thinking that you're modernizing Civilization 7 because all the other games did that. Don't do that. It's terrible. It's not very good. Now, I like what you did with the eras. I really did. If you could play as one civilization through all three eras, that would be flippin' phenomenal. I would love that. Because the eras are actually kind of good. The rubber band mechanic is pretty good. It gives the AI a chance to catch up to you. And it gives everybody a chance, a little bit of a parody. It'll make multiplayer games a lot more fun, I think, later on. I haven't actually played multiplayer on this yet, but I imagine that the rubber band mechanic could be kind of like Mario Kart in that point, where somebody who's just completely getting ruffle stomped will suddenly be able to catch up a little bit based off of the parody that's given to you on the eras. That's a good mechanic. I can't get over how much I hate swapping between civilizations. It doesn't feel good. It feels bad. Like, I like Rise and Fall in Civilization 4. There was a sense of imminent danger and failure, and then when you rise up again, that was kind of a neat little mechanic, but that was a mod. Okay? That wasn't the mainline game. That was a neat little mechanic for a good little mod, and that'd be great for a standalone game outside of the Civilization series. But as a Civilization game, why am I not playing the Civilization? I'm playing the flippin' leaders. I hate it. I hate it. For that reason, and that reason alone, Civilization 7 gets C tier. This is a controversial release. I think it's actually going to be a controversial release when Civ 8 comes out. People are going to be looking back on this probably with rose-tinted glasses like they did with Civilization 6. Don't ask me how Civilization 6 is getting so much glazing right now. It was a good game, but it wasn't like greatest of all time game. It was good. That's it. Like, Civilization 5 is better than Civilization 6 to me. I wanted to say objectively, but I'm sure there's people out there who play multiplayer who would say Civilization 5 just isn't a good multiplayer game compared to Civilization 6. But as a single player game, Civilization 5 is just better. It's just better. And Civilization 6 doesn't deserve the glazing it does for single player. Given the choice, I'd rather play Brave New World. I would. I just love Civilization 5 way better Brave New World. It's more difficult. There's a lot more mechanics that you have to cycle through, and you don't have to deal with the bullshit profit system in Civilization 6. You don't have to deal with the stupid rock band culture rushing at the end of the game. But Civilization 7 has so many problems, and hopefully they get fixed in future expansions. It's not the worst release, though. And I'm going to tell the haters out there who's like, oh, Civilization is the worst release ever. No. Civilization 3, in my book, is the worst release. Civilization Revolution 2 is one of the worst releases, clearly, because it didn't work on so many phones. And even after all of the patching, it still didn't work on most people's phones. What a joke that game was. But, I mean, Civilization 5, Civilization Beyond Earth, Civilization 3, what the hell? How can you, in good faith, call Civilization 7 the worst release? Just because the UI is ugly, just because the voice acting was inconsistent, just because the era system kinda is iffy when you change through civilizations. No, Civilization 7 is not the worst release. it doesn't deserve that level of hatred. You're being ridiculous. And it's a C tier. It's controversial, but it's not unfun. I can actually play this game and have a little bit of fun. I'm enjoying it. It's difficult enough, thanks to the parity given from the eras, that it forces me to work through the beginning of every era. Which means it's not just me coasting and snowballing with thousands of gold per turn, where I can buy everything I ever wanted and buy 1 million nuclear weapons in Civilization V's early release and just instantly win, and nobody can do anything to stop me in the AI, even on deity mode. Like, Civilization 7 isn't that bad. But hopefully it gets better. Hopefully Firaxis will take a little bit of the commentary, particularly on the lack of content. Like, I mean, when you swap through all of those civilizations, there just isn't that many to pick from. And at the same time, I want to be able to stay as the same civilization. So if I'm playing as Spain, why isn't there like why doesn't it start with, like, say, Castile and then turn into Spain and then turn into, like, I don't know, Espana, which is modern Spain, or I don't know, something like that, or just have Spain show up in the modern term as well. Or, I mean, they did that for the Han. They did that for China. Why didn't they do that for everybody? Why doesn't America exist all the way through? No, I guess in their minds you have to do like Tecumseh and then work your way up to America, but that doesn't flip and work, and that's kind of ridiculous and woke at that point, and I don't agree with that at all. And there's got to be, you got to add more civilizations. You got to make it so I can role play my way through if I feel like it. I don't have to. If I want to meta game, I can, and then just pick the one that gives me the best bonuses all the way through. But if I want to role play a game, like if I want to start off as, I don't know, Babylon, well, why isn't there a modern Babylon? Why can't I go from Babylon to Persia to Iran? Right? Or Babylon to, how about Babylon to the Umayyad Empire to Iraq? That would be good. So, I mean, it just doesn't exist currently, and I hope you add it later and make it better. But until then, I'm sorry, Civilization 7 belongs in the C tier. It's not the greatest release ever, it's not the worst release ever, but it's definitely not the greatest release ever. It's not as good as Civilization 6 on release. And for that reason, and that reason alone, it's C tier. So there you go. That's it for me rambling. That is all 12 games in the mainline series, including Alpha Centauri, which I consider part of the main series. I don't care what anybody says. If Beyond Earth is part of the main series, Alpha Centauri is. Simple as that. But, yeah, there you go. That's the list. That's what you got. Obviously, I'm a little biased towards Alpha Centauri and Civilization 4. Those are my favorite games of all time. Civilization 2 is definitely up there as one of my favorites. It's an amazing release. I don't care what anybody says. Probably going to get a little bit of hatred for putting Civilization 6 with Civ 4 Colonization, but I'm sorry. It was too easy. I dock points based off of my feelings at the beginning of the release, and you know what? Civilization 6 didn't fix how easy it is. It's still really easy. If they would have fixed it, I might have bumped it up to A. It's just so flippin' easy. Why? Civilization 7, I don't think it deserves the hate that it gets. I think people are being unreasonable, and I've had this argument for pretty much every Civilization game that's come out, except for Civilization 3. I remember fighting with people on BBS boards over Civilization 2 being better than Civilization 1. That's how old I am. BBS boards, for crying out loud. I remember logging into Simpatico, where they charged you by the hour just so I could argue online that Civilization 2 is better than Civilization 1. And that never went away. Although I was probably one of the few people who was, actually not the few people. There's a lot of people who were saying Civilization 2 was way, way, way better than Civilization 3. But then Civilization 4 came out, and inexplicably, that all just completely reversed, and suddenly everybody's like, Civilization 4 is the worst game ever made, Soren Johnson should be ashamed, Civilization 3 is the best ever made, and I'm just like, bitch, really? Civilization 3? That fucking a travesty? Really? You're gonna make that argument? So this is not new. This is definitely not new. I remember defending Civilization 5. Yes, Civilization 5 was broken. It was easy. It was still fun, though. Like, the mechanics were fun. It's just, it was so buggy, and I can understand why people hated it on release. So I was in the wrong a lot when I defended it. Civilization 6, when I defended it from all the Civ 5 fanboys, actually, I kind of agree with them on a lot of fronts, especially because Brave New World was such a good expansion that it kind of dwarfed Civilization 6 on release, especially since Civilization 6's diplomacy was a marketed step down from Brave New World. The district mechanics were still not fleshed out yet. And like I said, this game was super duper easy. Like, it was Civ 5 on release easy, and it still is. They never fixed it. It's still super easy. But yeah, and I think the only one I didn't defend that's in the modern era is Beyond Earth. This game was bad. Horrible. Horrible. They should be ashamed for releasing this game. How? Like, it was such a cool concept. The tech tree was such a cool concept, but everything was just made worthless because of the trade system, and City Sprawl took over because of the stupid trade system, and they never fixed the stupid trade system, so this game is just shit all around. But the one that's going to get me the most hate, obviously, is Civ 3. Obviously, they fixed it with, I think they called it Play the World. I didn't even buy the expansion for this stupid game. I hated this game so much, I never bought the expansions. That's how much I hated Civilization 3. I never bought the expansions. This is my most hated of all time game. I hate this game more than Final Fantasy VIII. And I really hate Final Fantasy VIII. I think that destroyed the Final Fantasy series. But Civilization 3, oof. I know there's still like diehards out there who will literally fight to the death on the hill. They will Iwo Jima anybody who dares say anything bad about Civilization 3. Don't ask me why. I don't understand them. I don't understand the love for this game. It's so washed out. It's so visibly ugly. The trading is so simplified. You even now with all of the freaking patches, you can still exploit the GPT the gold per turn, so that you could pretty much just easy mode your way into a million freaking cities. And granted, Civilization 3 is not an easy game. I probably lost more than half of my game's anxiety, but it wasn't Civilization 4 hard. I don't care what anybody says. You couldn't just spam cities and win with Civilization 4. It didn't work that way. And the doom stacking of Civilization 3 was just as bad as Civilization 4, so the combat mechanics weren't any better. Obviously, I'm very biased towards Civilization 3 because of the awful release. The not being able to play it for 14 days really soured me. The fact that it just is so ugly to look at sours me. The city sprawl sours me. The spreadsheet feel of the game sours me. I'd rather play Eve, okay? I mean, I did play Eve. I played that game rather religiously when it came out. But Civilization 3, no. There's no love for this game. I hate it. I really, really hate it. And yeah, if you love it, that's fine. That's fine. I still fart in your general direction, though, because I hate this game. And I probably will hate it until the day I die. I hate it. It's the worst release ever. Worst. Worse than Civilization Revolution 2. Just worst. And you probably remember, I think it was Play the World. Is that what the expansion was called? Yeah, I never actually bought it, so I'm just going off of memory here. You probably played it after Play the World fixed a lot of the bullshit that happened. You probably played it after the December patch or the May 2002 patch. But even the December patch was garbage. I remember playing it back then, and it was just horrible. And the patchings, I don't even think civ3.com was an official website. I think it was a third-party website. That's how messed up this release was. This was Firaxis's first foray into the Civilization world, and they botched it. It was awful. God awful. And you know what? I haven't tried playing it in a long time, but I remember some friends complaining about trying to get this stupid game to work on modern hardware and how it's a flippin' nightmare, how you have to mess around with all of these settings just to get it to run on Steam. I guess don't buy the Steam version, buy the GOG version so it actually works. But why would you do that to yourself? This game is horrible. But, I mean, if you love it, you like bad games, I'm sorry, you do. But there are people out there who love bad games. I play Victoria 3, so, I mean, who am I to talk? Obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about at that point because, I mean, Victoria 3 is a pretty bad game, but I love it so much. I really do. But Civ 3, no, I hate. That's it for my ranting. I've gone on way too long here. This is going to be a long-ass video. I probably swore way more than I normally do, mostly because of the emotions that well up with certain games that have ruined my expectations to a point where I just feel hatred whenever I talk about them. Probably Beyond Earth and Civ 3. Send your hate to the comments. You can even send it to me personally. I don't mind. If you like my list, you can glaze me all you want in the comments as well. But again, I'm expecting nothing but hatred for this list. Mostly because it is very opinion and very bias based. But that's what all tier lists are. Nobody can really have a truly objective tier list. They don't exist. Bias will always creep in. At least I'm honest enough to tell you that I'm biased. But beyond that, thank you for watching this far. If you did watch this far, you are a king! Beyond that, though, thank you for watching. Hail Hydra Cat.